you already know what sort does. And so this is a very simple example, but it will demonstrate how easy it is to do a sort in C++ STL. And you don't have to write your own sort functions. So one sort of argument to use libraries always is that one reason is that you'll save time. And the other is that because these are library functions, they're all well tested and it'll be free of bugs. Just give me 1 second, I'll be back. All right, sorry for that. Yeah, so all of you already know what sort does. So let me read this example. So Mark and Jane are very happy after having their first child. Congrats to them. Their son loves, so Mark wants to buy some more. There are a number of different toys lying in front of him tagged with their prices. So up till this sentence, you can just ignore all the sentences that you read. That is one of the challenges in trying to understand the problem, because there's always a story built around it. And it's up to you to read and understand the story. So Mark has only a certain amount to spend and wants to buy the maximum number of toys with the money. So what you're given is list of prices and an amount to spend. And you want to know what is the maximum number of toys that Mark can buy. So in this example, if the prices of toys, there are 4 toys, they are 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Mark has 7, then he can buy 1, 2, 3 for 6 units, or he can just buy 3 and 4 for 7. Because this set has maximum number of toys, Mark will choose this to buy. Input format is this, you'll be given N and K, which is number of toys and amount that Mark has to spend. And then you'll be given all the prices. These are the constraints. I'm sure all of you already know what to do here. You can pretty much just sort, and a greedy approach will work, because the smallest toy that you pick up will ensure that you spend the least amount of money from your budget, right? So what you do is just take all the values, sort them, and keep reading from the first till you run out of the budget. And that will ensure you can prove that that will give you the maximum number of toys. Let's see the program. If you see line number 15, so this is all it takes for you to sort a vector. You already know how to use a vector. We declare vector. Here, I've declared it in a slightly different way. I told you that I'll be showing you a simpler way. You can specify the size, and then you can use cin just like you read a normal array. So what we do to sort is just call the sort function. What is slightly different here is the calls to begin and end. These are iterators. You can use those for traversing through elements in a C++ STL container. So you won't need to know this, but to help you sort, all you need to know is you need to pass begin and end as parameters. So once you start using STL more and more, you'll be able to understand why these are used. So once you've sorted, you just have to go from first item till the end. And then if you can add that item to your sum and it's less than or equal to the budget, then you just add up and increment the number of toys. If you can't, you just break. And then you can print the toys. So the purpose of this is to demonstrate that this in just one line you can do a sort of a vector, and that will save you a lot of time in contests and even in interviews. In very rare cases, you'll also have to augment this sort. You'll have to do a different sort of comparison. For example, if your vector is not an integer, you have something like a structure with multiple integers, then you can also specify a comparing function which tells you which values if a given item is less than or equal to another item. So that way C++ also allows you to customize its data structures and algorithms. Any questions in this? Should think. So once the session is over, I suggest you to read up on how C++ sort is implemented, what algorithm is used. Cool, I think this is clear. So the last of the algorithms is binary search. So you should also already have an idea of what binary search does. So I won't be explaining what exactly binary search does, but I'll show you how easy it makes C++ STL makes it to do binary search. So pretty straightforward question. You're given an array with n integers, and it's specified that all elements are unique. You'll also be given some queries. Each query will consist of an integer x. So here you need to print the rank-based position of this element in this array, considering that the array is one index. Rank-based position is its position in the array when the array has been sorted in ascending order. So pretty much rank when you sort an array in ascending order. And it's also guaranteed that all elements are unique and every x in a query exists in the array. Input format is n and all the n values. Then q and q lines will have the value x. So again, this should be straightforward, right? Like the title says, you have to do a binary search. So first step would be to sort, and the next would be to do a binary search. Is this clear? Anyone has any questions about this? Nothing. All right. So let's see the program for this. Before we go to the program, C++ STL has a few functions for binary search. It has a function called binary search itself, which takes a vector and returns whether the item is present in the vector or not. This in itself is not very useful because knowing whether an item exists or not is not as useful as finding its position. So to find its position, there are two other functions called lower bound and upper bound, and there are some small differences between the two. For the most part, the two are pretty similar. Here we can use either of them because all the values are distinct. Let's see how that's used. So straightforward program again. You read the value of n, create a vector, and then take all its values. And then you call the sort function like we saw before. And then you take value of q. For each of the q queries, we read the number n. And what we do is we call this function lower bound. This looks slightly more tricky than before, but it's very similar. Again, you pass the begin and end. You'll see that in most of C++ algorithm functions, you'll be asked to pass begin and end. And num is the key that is used for searching. So I've used the auto keyword here. Otherwise, it's a long string of type iterator. You can just use auto anywhere to make it simpler. C++ will figure out what type to use here. So L will return. So begin and end actually return pointers to the starting and end of the array. So in our case, lower bound also returns a pointer to where the element is found. So once the pointer is found, to find what position it is at, you'll have to subtract begin from it. So you just have to learn these things once. Once you do, you'll be able to solve questions quickly. You can take this pointer, subtract begin, you'll know the index where the item was found. So both L and v.begin are of the same type, which is iterator. So if you subtract, you'll get the index. And then you can print this out. Any questions on this? Let me summarize this again. For binary search, you have to make sure the array is sorted, of course. So we call the sort function. Then we read the value in the query, and then we call the lower bound function. Lower bound function returns a pointer to the item. So here binary search is completely abstracted from us. And internally it does the binary search, and in log n complexity, it returns the pointer to the item, which is num. And then if we subtract that pointer from begin, we get the index.